Okay, my beautiful friends, sit back and relax because we're going to laugh. We're going to laugh. No, we are going to freaking laugh. At least I know I am, and I think you will too. We have to cover, well, this today was beyond the freak show. You know, we already realized that we're in a freaking freak show. Okay, but this is getting worse and more insane. You can't make this stuff up that I'm going to talk about today. You can't do it. I don't care how hard you tried. You can't make it up. So anyway, let me calm down. This is my post-market wrap-up on this Thursday, March 3rd, 2022. Before I even talk about the market, I want to talk about our illustrious, I'm about to say the word. So for those of you out here that are sensitive, hold your ears just for a second, all right? Our illustrious retard president. Let's talk about our illustrious retard president real quick. Okay, so you have to understand how this works. They have to find a catchphrase to sell people on, all right? We already understand that we're in a crisis. When you're in a crisis, you must, it's your patriotic duty to stand behind that crisis, and you got to back it with cash that central banks are going to print out of thin air because we don't have it. We're broke. Okay, so our illustrious retard president, oops, sorry if you uncovered your ears. This is his little catchphrase. Klepto capture. I'm not making this up. Look it up for yourself. So our illustrious retard president is about to sell you on the idea of granting 32.5, are you ready for this? $32.5 billion in aid on top of what we've already done for Ukraine. Now, how this is being sold, again, it's klepto capture. Okay. He's first going to go to Congress and ask for just 10 billion. We don't have any of it. Okay. It all has to be borrowed from the Federal Reserve, who is more than willing to lend it out. Again, what have I been telling you? Fed, central banks want to be the lenders and buyers of last resort. We don't have pallets of cash laying around anywhere. It all has to be borrowed and created into existence. But you see, our illustrious retard president can't tell you that. So he's going to ask Congress for an initial $10 billion to go gift over to Ukraine to get the American people behind, because it's a klepto capture. I'm not making it up. It's a klepto capture, yeah. Which will balloon to another $32.5 billion. Now, understand, when there's a crisis, like we have now, this thing that's going on over there, Russia, Ukraine, you know, it's a crisis. Okay, it is a crisis. But, you know, who didn't see this coming? We all knew something like this was coming. You know what they do? Crisis to crisis to crisis. As we ended COVID, well, they needed another crisis. They milked the living hell out of COVID. They're going to milk the living hell out of this just to create more cash out of thin air. Henceforth, like I've been explaining to you, here's another $32.5 billion that you're on the hook for, that you owe to the Federal Reserve, plus interest that they create out of thin air. How do you feel about that? You see, but because there's a crisis, there's no public vote. Nothing gets done. It's automatic. It's executive order, but he's really hoping Congress is going to approve this. Of course they're going to. It's a crisis. They have to get behind it. It's their patriotic duty. Otherwise, they're not supporting the Ukrainian people. Don't you see how this is playing out? I really hope you do. Anyway, let's talk about this market. A 400-point swing in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. At one point, the Dow was up about 300 points. We finished down 100. Why? We heard again people from the ghoul of the Federal Reserve. I'm talking about Loretta Mester. She's a thing, okay? Just look up a picture of Loretta Mester. She's a freaking ghoul. Now, the ghoul of the Federal Reserve is again trying to convince you. She's selling you the lie. Oh, you know, inflation is really getting out of control. I told you this morning, it's surging at its fastest pace ever. The Fed's very serious about it. They want to control it. So they float out the ghoul of the Federal Reserve, okay, to say, oh, yes, we're going to be aggressively raising rates moving forward. But what she won't tell you, the ghoul, is that it won't do a damn thing, okay? They have to stop buying mortgage-backed securities. They have to stop buying assets. They have to unwind their balance sheet. But no, the ghoul of the Fed is lying to you. Imagine my shock. Wait a minute. You mean they don't tell the truth? The Federal Reserve, public enemy number freaking one? Oh yeah. So that's what hit the market. Now, with regard to cryptocurrencies, did you see what happened today? Bitcoin, crypto's tumbled, but why would that happen? Oh, maybe because it's the Fed chair thing, Powell, the other freak, he's saying that we have to do something to regulate cryptocurrencies. Okay, we were doing great. Bitcoin was over 44,000. He makes this kind of a comment. Whammo. Lovely. Yeah, and cryptos got hit. We've been hearing about crypto regulation for a very, very long time. Understand, no central banker on this earth wants you in anything other than their issued fiat currency. They want you working for it. They want you slaving for it. Then they want to make you in debt so you become an even more greater slave to their system. Oh, God forbid that maybe we can circumvent the debt-based economic model. That will not be allowed to happen. Doesn't mean, in my opinion, I still feel like this, we're going to see cryptos go much higher. Until meaningful regulation begins, because we've been hearing about this for I don't know how long, a decade? Since the beginning of Bitcoin, whenever that was, I don't even know, a long time ago. So no central banker wants you in anything. They don't want you in gold. They don't want you in silver. Of course, not cryptocurrencies. They want you transacting in their product, period. Banks as well. They don't want you in anything else other than dollars, euros, another fiat currency. That's the way it works. You understand? They want you out there working and slaving for them. Then they want you to bury yourself in debt so you become a bigger slave. It's a slave world and a slave system. So anyway, that's where we're going with this whole thing. But that's why Bitcoin and cryptos took a hit today on the back of what he said. And then the ghoul of the Fed, she's lying to you again. But the market's buying it because the market is... It's a demented child. I told you. It has to keep being reassured that everything's going to be fine. Yeah, it is. Let us move forward, lovely people. So, what else? So we got some economic news today. And guess what? It's just terrible. So the ISM Services Index fell to a 12-month low. Imagine Greg Mannarino's shock. You see, because the economists polled out there, the experts, they were assuming this number was going to be a good one. It was going to go higher because the economy's great. You know it's great because, well, everyone's saying so besides me and you. We must be wrong. Anyway, I think you understand where we are going here. Just real quick, I want to say thank you to those of you that stood up here and want to moderate this channel. I have about 100 moderators right now. So for now, I'm good. If I need more, I will let you know. I did accommodate, like I said, about 100 of you, and it looks like it's already working. Have you seen a scammer out here? They're gone. They're running for the freaking hills. Thanks to all of you, and I'm in here too trying. We got to get rid of these scammers. Now, there's a lot of people who are very afraid. They're so afraid that I will not allow a contrary opinion to mine to be here. Look, I would love contrary opinions to mine. I am not too old to learn something new. If you have a valid point, please let me know, and your comment will stand. The only things I want down here are the scammers. I want the scammers gone. You have no idea how many people have written to me who have gotten actually pinched. Don't laugh at these people because I'm going to tell you something. People, at least 10 people that I know of personally who have written to me over the past few years have fallen for scams, some for large amounts of money, like $20,000, $25,000. And it's irrecoverable. They've fallen for these scams. Now, these scammers are targeting mostly people who are, all the people who have written to me have been older. And I don't mean ancient old, like 70s, late 70s. And these people, look, sometimes people, they unfortunately fall into these kind of traps. And I'm not saying young people aren't falling for it either, but it's mostly the elderly, the older people that are being targeted. And that is despicable to me. Despicable to me. And again, this cash is irrecoverable once it's sent over. So to my new moderators out here, I thank you all because it's working already. I haven't seen any of these things. You've been getting rid of them very quickly. And it's a real service that you're doing for people, blocking these scammers. All right, anyway. So people, that's kind of where we stand right now. I want your opinion on something, okay? So now that we understand that President Retard Biden is selling you, because it's your patriotic duty to get behind his klepto capture, all right, $32.5 billion in additional cash going over to Ukraine, which is going down anyway. Are you behind that? Do you support it? Look, I'm all for helping people, but you see, this has gone beyond that. This isn't just, the only reason why that thing is happening over there, okay, this is really the truth, is to allow the mechanism to function, to borrow more cash into existence like I've explained to you since virtually day one. They got to create a crisis. They got to prolong that crisis. They have to get the people behind it because it's their patriotic duty. You can't vote because if you vote against it, then you're not a patriot and you don't want to help anyone. So throw billions and tens of billions of dollars at whatever they want to just because it's a crisis. And this crisis over there is really about supporting the debt-based economic monster. That's all it is. Just like COVID, just like everything else. They are going to do other things, people, things you can't even believe to keep the debt-based system going. That's all it is. It's a curse upon mankind. I don't know another way to put it. Nothing is what it seems to be. And you're going to get people like the retard president with his fist in the air. Oh, we got to get behind this, or we have to support this. We got to throw billions upon billions upon billions. And you can't vote for it. No, because you see, it's all up to me, him, the president retard, because it's your patriotic duty to do it. We're broke. We have no cash. You see, our founding fathers realized that we needed a wealth-based system to restrain spending. Okay, that's why we had a gold standard. Once we went off of that and central banks took over fiat monetary system, petrodollar, it all ended. So then the system went from a wealth-based system to a debt-based system. And the debt-based system, in order to survive, more cash has to be borrowed into existence. They must create reasons, create situations, Russia, Ukraine, whatever they got to do, to borrow more cash from the future. You're not allowed to know it. This is how it works. And this is why the whole world has become a slave planet. Debt slaves, individual slaves, nation slaves to central banks. And this additional $32.5 billion, we don't have it. It must be borrowed into existence, created out of nothing. And what is that going to do? Do you think that's going to really help inflation like our president was saying? Oh, I'm going to be fighting inflation. Does the retard even know? He might not know because he's retarded, but I think he does know. That by creating billions of dollars in cash out of thin air, it dilutes the purchasing power of every existing dollar. How does a dollar get purchasing power? When a dollar is created, whether it's printed or whether it's added to a digital screen, it's not automatically worth $1. As a matter of fact, it's worth less. Why? Because every dollar created must steal a fraction of purchasing power from every other existing bill, whether it's 0.00000000000 to infinity 1 from every freaking bill. That's how that new printed dollar or digital dollar gets its purchasing power. So what that does is dilute the entire purchasing power of existing dollars, and we get inflation. Duh. Okay, as freaking what's his face Powell said yesterday. Yes, inflation is largely a monetary issue. Well, there it is. But no, he's blaming the war today. Oh, it's the war. Oh, it's energy. People, you are being lied to on a scale that is literally biblical. You know, maybe you should think about that as we move forward. Anyway, I want to hear from you. What do you think about all this stuff? Make sense to you? I'd be willing to bet it does. This guy here loves you a lot. I'm so out of here. I'll see you in the morning.